8 months had passed since the day of Gregory's accident, and the Redwick and Chiltern Hills had not truly recovered from it. After the accident, there had been a wave of distrust towards the passenger operations on the railway by the public, with most people choosing road transportation over the railway. British Railways had attempted to win the public over by completely revamping certain parts of the railway, most notably at Redwick, which sported a brand new layout to the yard, station, and sheds, but in the end, it proved to be a futile endeavor. Because of this, it was decided that some budget cuts would have to be made to try and salvage some money. Chiltern Hill Station and Eastwood Junction were the first victims of closure, as they were located around the smallest towns on the line, and therefore the least profitable. Not long after that, the main line sheds and yard were demolished due to a lack of usage, allowing for a second station building to be constructed. They had even attempted to rip up any connection with Mr. Starr's property, isolating his engines from the main stretch of the branch once and for all. However,
absolutely fucking not.
Lord Dexby had ensured that no funny business was performed against Mr. Starr while he was waist deep in court cases, keeping good at the promise he made all those months ago. One rainy morning at Redwick, Mr. Knox was giving out the day's work to a group of mostly less than enthusiastic engines. Ever since he had taken charge of the railway, he had gone through great strides to streamline the operations of the railway in such a way that most of the engines had dedicated work they did every day, rather than randomly being assigned jobs the night before. The daily meetings were simply just a way for Mr. Knox to show that he was the man in charge, something the engines were all too aware of. And then, 6027, 8023, 7907 and 7837 will handle the passenger work for today, while the rest of you do your regular freight runs, hopefully with less delays today. As per usual, 4707, you have the first Lavinery delivery to Acton Yard, while 1025 takes the second. 2858 will handle the coal delivery, and 7227 has the slow goods to Hinksey.
What about me?
Local goods alongside 44073.
Actually, sir, I was hoping that maybe I could have a longer run today.
Local goods, 4211. The duty roster was made like this for a reason.
But
That's final, 4211.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else wish to disrupt me before I continue? Sir? That was a rhetorical question, 8023. Now, back to the topic at hand. Sir, please, this is important. Oh, I'm sure it is, 8023, but I don't have the time to stand here and gossip. I have a busy day ahead of me and—
You may as well let him speak. He won't stop until you do.
Everyone turned their gaze over to the far left shed road, where Anthony Manor was sat alone, staring angrily at Mr. Knox. Very well. Okay then, 8023. Share with the class. What is on your mind? Well, my motion, sir. It's been acting up again. Was that all? What? This is, what? The 7th time this year you've complained about your motion? If I didn't know any better, I would say you're paranoid about failing after that catastrophe you had last year. Well, yes, but— Now then, if you are quite done wasting my time, I have an important meeting to attend to. You all know your jobs. He turned and walked towards his office, while the engines gave worried looks to a defeated Reginald. I don't understand how he can just blow me off like that.
Yeah, that was a bit harsh.
Not surprising, with how often you're out of service. If you'd spent less time at the works and more time actually doing your job, he'd probably be more willing to listen. Oh, and of course, if you weren't owned by a murderous psychopath, You take that back! Why? We all know it's true. There's no point denying it. Liar! You heard the news. They have no proof. For now. No proof for now. But he will break soon enough. He has more than enough lives on his conscience, now including the driver and fireman responsible for this. Oh, and of course...
That's enough, Richard.
Shut up, Anthony! You're no better than him, you traitorous scum!
Did I say anything to you?
Oh, forget it. I'm not going to listen to this. I've got work to do. Ah!
Reggie!
I'm fine. Leave me be.
And there he goes.
You will have to accept the truth eventually.
Eventually. Though not today, it seems. You'll have to work it out soon, before something happens that he regrets.
That's rich coming from you.
I knew we shouldn't have trusted you. You can't just expect to fix something like this after you caused it.
I didn't make that psychotic mogul do what he did.
And yet, if you'd kept that hole in your smokebox shut, we wouldn't be where we are now. It's on your buffers as much as his.
Ignore him, Anthony. You did the right thing in the end, and you should be proud of yourself for that. Anthony couldn't say anything. He just looked away in shame.
Can't we just move on from this topic? It's doing my non-existent steam pipes in.
Yeah, guys, enough already. I have a long trip ahead of me. I don't need this bouncing around in my smokebox all the way to Higsy. In that case, you shouldn't even go there in the first place. Oh, not this again, Russell. I've told you a million times, I don't choose who does what job. I get picked for this because I can handle the larger trains coming back. And even then, it's only just. You would probably stall on the way back now that we no longer have a banker at Colford. I would not. Unlike you, I didn't need to be rebuilt to be able to handle my trains. I could make it up that hill just as well as you could, if not better. Or will you stop banging on about it? One would think you're jealous of me or something. Ha! As if I'd ever be jealous of you. Just look at you. You're just a stretched out and fatter version of me. Why, you rude piece of shit.
That's enough, you two. Stop arguing and get to work. You're not going to get anything done today if you keep throwing your toys out of the pram.
Whatever. Good luck today, Drax. You're going to need it. What's that supposed to mean?
But he didn't get a reply as Russell left the sheds to begin his day of work. Drax stared suspiciously after Russell, but decided to shrug it off as he went to get ready for work himself. Days went by, and the engines worked as hard as ever to try and keep the railway in the green. Though passenger numbers had taken a massive downturn, freight traffic had flourished due to the extra gaps in the timetables. Engines like Ramsey, Axel, and Anthony Manor had not been on a passenger service in months, being bound to goods work on a permanent basis. Anthony and Axel didn't mind much, but Ramsey missed his old jobs quite a lot. He had tried to take some of Reggie's work, so that the Pacific may have some downtime to get looked over by the men at the works, but to little success. The mood between Russell and Drax had only worsened as the days passed. Russell kept on trying to undermine Drax at every turn he could, firmly believing that Drax was not deserving of the work he had been given, even trying to convince Mr. Knox as such, but to no avail. Drax had tried to reason with the smaller freight engine, but it had become quite clear that there was no getting through to him. In the end, Drax had no choice but to ignore Russell's outbursts, much to the annoyance of the 4200. One morning, Drax was making his way towards Endon Industrial Estate to collect his outbound train to Hinksey. His mood was foul, having dealt with another one of Russell's outbursts that very morning. He coasted absent-mindedly over the bridge towards the points, but looked up when he realized he had been stopped at a red signal.
What the fucking hell are you?
That's a red signal.
Yeah, no shit, but why? We're supposed to have a clear road.
I don't know, actually. Probably a delayed service or something.
Well, it better be cleared soon. I need a run to clear my smoke box.
Russell?
Russell. Wait, Russell?
Drax and his crew stared in disbelief as Russell pulled out ahead of him, hauling his train. Russell didn't even look back at Drax as he powered on onto the main stretch of the branch, ignoring all of Drax's attempts to call out to him.
Oi, what the hell, man? That's my train.
It's no use, Drax. He's long gone.
What was that about then? That was my job he just took.
We'll have to have a chat with the people at the estate. Maybe they can shed some light on this situation.
Drax pulled into the marshalling yard, glaring angrily at Jim, who returned the look, although with a hint of surprise. "What the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be in the works."
No, I'm supposed to be at the front of that train Russell just took. What the hell was that about?
"Beats me. He told me you had been sent to the works. Your service took priority over his, so he was told to take yours while a replacement was sourced for his work. With how quickly you were fixed, I guess that makes you his replacement."
But I was never at the works. Russell bloody lied to get my train. Did no one check with Mr. Knox before he gallivanted off?
"Don't know, don't care. I have enough to deal with running this estate, thank you very much. Speaking of, the wagons behind me are the next local service. Take that and get out of my yard." Drax seethed as he backed onto the waiting train, simmering angrily as he waited for the all-clear. As soon as he got it, he stormed out of the yard towards Manifel. Are you sure we can't get a replacement sorted? I really don't feel well.
I'm sorry, kiddo, but Mr. Knox's word is final. Just do what you can, alright?
But the hill. Getting up here was bad enough. Now I have to make it up Colford Bank as well?
I have faith in you, Reggie. It's only 5 coaches. You can do this.
I appreciate the confidence, but I really don't think... Well, it's too late now.
Reggie, what's wrong?
It's so painful. Make it stop, please.
I'm shutting off steam. Something isn't right.
But before he could, an almighty crashing sound was heard, as Reggie screamed out in pain. His driver quickly applied the brakes, and Reggie came to a stop about halfway up the incline. Oh, not again.
Ah, Reggie. You gonna be alright?
No, I'm an absolute failure. I can't even hold a local train without falling apart. Alfred would be ashamed to call me his brother.
Hey, don't talk like that. We'll get you help. That way they can get you in for repair as soon as possible. You'll be back in no time.
I suppose. Thank you. Reggie's driver departed, leaving him all alone with only the angry murmurs of the passengers as his company. A little while later, the familiar beat of a night owl began drifting through the air, and soon enough, Axel could be seen slowly reversing down the hill towards him. He came to a stop just in front of the failed engine.
Reggie, what happened?
My motion, again.
Your motion? Didn't you just have that fixed?
Yes, I did, alright.
Whoa there, easy, I'm not having a go at you.
Well, you sure sounded like it. Alright, that's enough. Reggie looked down to see Mr. Knox walking up to him. He had an angry scowl on his face. Well. What do we have here? A Pacific that failed hauling 5 measly coaches? You really aren't worth your weight in scrap. Well, maybe if some stuck-up money pusher had listened to me, we wouldn't be in this situation. And maybe if you didn't cry wolf every day, I'd be inclined to believe you. You act like I did this on purpose. Judging by who you're owned by, I'd put nothing past you. Why, you evil, rude, stuck-up son of a...
If the two of you wouldn't mind, we should get this train moving. It's running late enough as it is.
Very well. Leave 8023 in the disused loop at Eastwood. I shall deal with him later.
Very well.
Oh, and 4707?
Yes?
Firstly, you will address me as Sir. Secondly, it would be wise not to speak out of turn again. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Crystal.
I should certainly hope so.
Pay him no mind, Reggie. I'm sure you'll be back in no time.
Time will tell, I suppose.
Come on, let's get you up this hill. I'll take it slow so we don't damage you any further.
Axel gently set off up the hill, Reggie creaking and groaning as he went along. Before he knew it, Axel had put him on the disused platform at Eastwood, and had left with his coaches, leaving him all alone, with only his thoughts of sadness and self-loathing as company. Later that day, Drax was waiting for the all-clear to move out of the triangle down at Manifel with the local goods bound for Redwick. He would be lying if he said he didn't enjoy the slower and shorter journeys, as it had been a long time since he could take it more easily. But he was still irked at the way Russell had gone about it. As the thought crossed his mind, he heard the labored beat of a heavy freight engine become louder and louder, and before long, Russell went past him with a long rake of heavy wagons. Drax couldn't be sure, but by the sound Russell was giving off, he sounded like he was struggling.
This does not bode well.
Russell was indeed struggling. That morning, he had neglected his servicing to be able to beat Drax down to the industrial estate. And paired with hauling a heavy load for the first time in months, he was now feeling the effects of such an action. He barely made it into Colford, but knew he was far from done. The climb towards Eastwood was fast approaching.
Come on, I can do this.
He rushed into the tunnel and came out of the other side with a decent pace, tackling the steep grade with all his might, closing his eyes as he strained himself. However, his speed deteriorated quickly.
Come on! If Drax can do it, then so can I! I've got this. I've... stopped? Hey, what's the big idea? Why did you stop me?
I didn't.
Then what happened? I'm almost at the top.
You've gone and stalled, that's what's happened.
Fuck!
Drax, thank goodness you're here.
How come?
I got word that Russell's stalled on the hill and is struggling to restart. I've told his crew to roll him back down again so you can both get a proper run up. He should be at the gantry any moment now, so proceed with caution.
I had a feeling something like this would happen. Alright, I'll help him.
Good. Thank you very much. And have a nice rest of your day.
You too. Is this really necessary?
We've been over this. Yes, it is.
All I need is a blow-up and I'll be as right as
Russell, drop it.
Ugh. Fine. Who can they send anyways? Levi is still doing his coal run. Ramsey is probably halfway to Acton Yard. And Axel is the other side of the line. There is no one here that can... Ugh. Of course. Russell? Drax? Well, you ready to get going? That's it? No having a go at me? No time for it. I'll let Mr. Knox handle that later. Now come on, we're late enough as it is.
With an almighty shove, Drax began to push the long rake forwards, with Russell meekly starting to pull his weight. They quickly made it up the hill with no issues, and shot past Reggie, who could only stare in awe as he saw the two past him. Drax was alarmed to see Reggie sat on his own in the disused platform, but hadn't the time to worry about it. Soon, they passed through Chiltern Hills and began to slow down. Drax pushed Russell as far as the points before decoupling, allowing Russell to face Jim's wrath on his own. Soon enough, he made his way to Redwick, where an angry Mr. Knox waited for him. But once he explained the situation, he was let off with a light warning before being told to take the next local train. When Russell arrived at the sheds, he found them to be completely empty. Axel had just left to take the next local train, and Pat had been sent to move Reggie to the works. He sat there in silence for a while, before a stern voice spoke up to him. "I suppose you think that was terribly clever."
Mr. Knox, I can explain.
"I should certainly hope so. After the failure of 8023, I had hoped that would have been the last thing to disrupt the work here today. Clearly not."
I just wanted to show that I was capable of doing mainline work too. It's been so long since I've been off the branch, I was going mad.
And look where that got you. You delayed not only your service, but 7227 as well. Safe to say, you failed spectacularly at convincing me.
Hart and Richard get to gallivant around with their passengers, whilst I'm stuck as the second fiddle to that traitor 7227. Why?
Because you are a tool, same as the others. You are used for what we deem necessary until you are broken. And if you cannot be fixed, well, then you're to be discarded of.
What? But...
So you'd better hope the men at Swindon can find what's wrong with you. If not, I will have no further use for you.
Swindon? Why would I need to go to Swindon?
Your crew tells me you've been experiencing steaming problems. I will not have one of my locomotives drag down the performance of my railway. So you're going in for repairs first thing tomorrow morning. And that's final. Good day, 4211. Night was beginning to fall when Reggie awoke to the sound of people talking next to him. He looked to his side to see two workmen looking up the line, and followed their gaze to see Pat approaching him gently. Pat?
Hello, Reginald.
It feels like I haven't seen you in ages. How are you? Oh, and Jess, of course.
We're alright, thank you. At least as good as we can be.
I take it you guys are here to take me to be repaired?
Only down to the works at Manafell for now. Probably to take away any contaminated parts like last time.
I see.
Cheer up, lad. I'm sure you'll be on your way down to Swindon in no time. Now, let's get you to Manafell.
I don't suppose you can go as fast as possible to get this over with.
No can do, lad. I'm under strict orders to go easy so as not to damage you further.
Ah, so be it then. It will be nice to catch up. Pat soon got the all clear and began gently moving Reginald back towards the points. The two engines spent the journey talking away like old reunited friends. It didn't take long for Pat to get Reggie shunted into the works, where, surprisingly, there were no workers, only Mr. Knox. That's all I need you for, 44073. You are dismissed.
Very well, sir.
Well then, to what do I owe the pleasure? Watch your tone, 8023. You will address me properly. Oh, I will, when you fix your attitude towards us. My, what a temper. Reminds me a lot of your owner. Yeah, whatever. Where are the workmen? I need to be prepared for Swindon. Oh, you don't have to worry about that. I think you're just fine right where you are. What? As you're still owned by Bradford Aronstad, I cannot authorize any work on you, nor can I authorize your journey to Swindon. To put it bluntly, you're stuck here. But, Mr. Stodd would never allow this, which is why he will not be informed. Besides, he's too busy fighting off being incarcerated. So I would get comfortable if I were you. You play these games like you own us. But mark my words, one day you will get what's coming. Perhaps. But today is not that day. Try to not disturb the workers too much, or you will end up in a siding instead. Count yourself lucky for this small mercy. Farewell, 8023. Knox. You may control the railway for now, but you will never be half the man Mr. Stodd is.
Oh my God, Reggie, save me! I'm transcending through your Oh, fuck. Help me.